Hello everybody and welcome to New York Talks post-match reaction. We're going to try and keep this one PG, and I'm just going to go straight to Mick for this one.
Cheers mate, thank you. It was woeful.
His name's Steve Martin if you're interested.
Yeah, well we'll come to that in a bit, shall we? It was dreadful. It was a dreadful performance, I thought, overall. Couldn't keep the ball. It was like Stoke, but
They could finish.
at least they could finish the dinner, unlike Stoke could. So yeah, it was a poor performance, and I don't think it helped once we went for it back. That just did not work at all. So yeah, got what we deserved, didn't we, ultimately? So we move on.
That was actually quite shorter than I thought it was going to be.
We'll come back to that.
But yeah, I think a lot of people look straight to Victor because he has conceded 4, but in all honesty, I don't really think Victor's at fault for at least some of the goals, at least 3 of them, because the defence just wasn't organised enough. Woody got caught out and the ball played in front of him. Ferguson got old manned and Ollie had to try and recover for him as well at times. Yeah, and 4 at the back didn't really suit us at all, but that's another lesson learned for Mac Taylor, isn't it, really?
Yeah, big time. I think the problem with me, we allowed them to dictate the play completely. They wanted to play at 100 miles an hour, and we basically said, all right then, and they were better than us, much better than us. Barlasser couldn't really get on ball, although if you had to pick anybody out who had a good game, it would be Dan Barlasser, because the pass to Eves for the second goal, and obviously the goal he scored in the first half as well. It weren't right. I think it's a good wake-up call. I think sometimes me and Ben were having a conversation before the game, like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if we make playoffs? All right, we can forget about that for a minute, because that's 2 games in a row where defensively, or not defensively, because Stoke I thought we were okay defensively, we haven't controlled the game, and that's what we need to get back to doing. You've got Barlaser who can control the game. Wilesy was anonymous today, which is really frustrating because we know how good he can be. Scott Eye come on and impacted the game more than Ben Wiles did, which is a real worry. Victor could have done better for the second one. That's the only criticism. But he then kept us in the game. He kept it at 2 and he kept it at 3 for a bit. It's a big wake-up call. Matt Taylor's job is a big one. We know it's a big one. But we didn't put under any pressure, and that's why we lost the game. The referee didn't help, as Mick will tell you about. But we're at fault for that game, I think. More than Hull were good, we were bad, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. I think you just need to look at our second goal, to be fair. Like, that is how good we can be. Yeah. But we just weren't that for the majority of the game, and Hull more or less tore us a new one in that game.
Got mauled by the Tigers.
Yeah, exactly, we did. Use that old trope. But yeah, you're right, Victor probably kept the score down from probably being 6, in all honesty. And you'll see this in the vlog whenever that decides to go up, if it goes up. That's the first time I've seen Rotherham concede 4 live. Oh. Whoops.
Get used to it, mate.
Yep. Championship, hey. But yeah, before we go on to Mick and the referee, Barlasser's goal that kept in at 1-1 at half time, we thought that was like, yeah, something could be happening here. Turns out it went the other way. And George Kelly scored as well. So I think the main takeaway from today is at least Kelly scored and at least it didn't rain. Now Mick, we're going to come back to you. You know what's coming next. Off you go.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about the referee simply because, and I don't think he had a particularly bad game in comparison to some of the referees that we've had all season. However, there were some really key decisions in that game that changed the game for me. And it changed the game against us. The first one is obviously the handball in the first half, which how he's not given that as a penalty is utterly beyond me, because their defender had his arm above his head and it hit him on the arm. But that for me is yeah, all right, didn't see it perhaps. The key for me is the foul given against Hakeem Odoffin and the booking of Hakeem Odoffin, which was probably one of the, well, up until that point, was probably one of the worst decisions I've seen at New York all season, because it was a clear and obvious dive, and even if it hadn't been a clear and obvious dive, it had never been a booking in a million years. The issue I have with it is that completely changed the momentum of the game, because not 2 minutes later Hakeem Odoffin goes for a tackle in the middle of the park and he knows he's on a booking, he knows he can't go for it, he loses the tackle, he loses the ball, and they go and score. And at that point there, the momentum of the game just changes completely, and they're all over us, and we're straight away on the back foot. whatever. They get another goal, which for me, I can't remember that one or the fourth one, was definitely a handball. The ball, that was the fourth, right? Okay. We then have the most blatant penalty you are ever going to see on Tom Eaves. I have never seen one as obvious, that he's waved away, and then 2 seconds later somebody falls over his own shoelaces and he gives a free kick. Again, it's the inconsistency there. We then get on top. We're 4-1 down at this point. We get on top. We've had at this point 4 goals, 9 substitutions, something at least 8 or 9 substitutions, and we get 4 minutes injury time when we're on top, when we're starting to get at least a foothold in the game. We get a goal back. You know what I mean? It's decisions like that do change games, because they change the momentum in the game, and they are awful decisions, awful. And this is one of the reasons why the referees get criticised, because they're so inconsistent. Again, it's that word, not good enough. That's not why we lost the game. I'm not saying, I'm not standing here saying, oh, we lost 4-2 because of referee. We didn't. However, he contributed to the change in momentum in the game, which cost us the game. That's my view. I might be wrong, and people will shout at me and everything else and moan at me because but the bottom line is, they have got to be better. They have got to be better. And while ever they're not, we're going to consistently get complaints like this from me and other supporters right across the country, week in, week out. It's not acceptable at this level. It is not. Anyway, we got hammered. We deserve to get hammered. Well, yeah, it saved me doing it tomorrow. I can watch Grand Prix instead, can't I? So we've got to be better, obviously, and I know that. But the officials, I'm sorry, it isn't acceptable.
Just going on to Keema Doffin in the yellow card, I think that rattled him. I think he didn't really settle after that, and that's completely upset him.
But he still played quite well, to be fair to Doffin. I thought he had a decent game.
That cost us the second goal. That's what caused the second goal, because he went for a tackle in midfield that he had to pull out of. He had to pull out of it. They're 2-1 up.
And so that's Mick's 2 cents on the matter.
I'm sorry, but
so thanks very much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you again shortly. I'm off back round to the West End because I owe their goalkeeper £20 for getting a score again. So there you go, Mick. Bye, everybody.
Cheers.